Good evening. Welcome to the Costa Mesa Planning Commission meeting for Monday, July 12th. I call the meeting to order and ask that Commissioner Tourget lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Tourget. Julie, roll call attendance, please. Here.
Present.
Thank you. For the record, please note that Commissioner Arith is present via phone, via Zoom. Commissioner Russell?
Here.
Commissioner Toller?
Here.
Commissioner Tourget?
Here.
And Commissioner Zick?
Here.
Great, thank you, Julie. So tonight, before we get into the business of our meeting, it's my privilege tonight to recognize our outgoing Vice Chair, Planning Commissioner Kadarius Colbert. So Kadarius, if you would join me up at this far podium here, and I am going to present you with a proclamation recognizing your service to the city. So tonight, it's my pleasure to present this proclamation to Kadarius Colbert, a proclamation of the Planning Commission of the City of Costa Mesa, commending Kadarius Colbert for his service on the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission of the City of Costa Mesa hereby proclaims, whereas Kadarius Colbert was appointed to the Planning Commission in February 2019, whereas Mr. Colbert served as Vice Chair of the Planning Commission between December 2020 in June 2021, and whereas Mr. Colbert contributed to the betterment of the community through his careful and thoughtful deliberations and actions on a number of significant development projects, plans, and ordinances, including One Metro West, the Triangle, and cannabis retail regulations, and whereas Mr. Colbert's sincere desire to serve the community and his professional background in land use planning provided insightful input for important land use and housing policy recommendations. Whereas Mr. Colbert has a master's degree in regional planning from Cornell University, a Bachelor of Science degree in public affairs, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from Texas Southern University. And whereas Mr. Colbert fulfilled his responsibility as a planning commissioner in a conscientious and professional manner, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Costa Mesa Planning Commission hereby gratefully records and extends its sincere appreciation and the appreciation of the Costa Mesa community to Kadarius Colbert for his faithful and excellent service on the Planning Commission. Dated this 12th day of July, 2021, signed Byron DeArcle, Chair of the Planning Commission. And I'll give this to you. And I will ask the commissioners each to make a comment after you make whatever remarks you would like to. Okay. Thanks, Kadarius, very much.
Thank you. Good evening. I do have a couple of comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, the staff. This is a difficult thing, but I'm going to get through it. So, dear Mayor Stevens, council, staff, community, and esteemed members of the Costa Mesa Planning Commission, I'm excited to be back in the chamber for the first time in a year, but this is the first time I've seen many of you and met some of you for the first time in person since March 2020. But like I said, unfortunately, this will be my last meeting, or the last meeting that I attend. I'll obviously come in and check in from time to time. But it's been an honor and pleasure to serve the Costa Mesa community over the past 2 years. I've made lifelong friends and found a forever home in Costa Mesa. I've immersed myself within the craft of community planning for the benefit of those present and, more importantly, those to come. This resignation was not without extreme discontenance and ambivalence, but it was the best decision for me. The commission has been the best part of my time here in Costa Mesa and Orange County. I could not imagine a better introduction to this incredible community. This action is not the abandonment of my passion for equity or justice or ambitious design guidelines. It's not the abandonment of my commitment to Orange County or California. However, it is an opportunity to strengthen and expand the focus of those efforts using the knowledge and relationships gained during this period. While I did not imagine not concluding my full term, I fully believe that there is no indispensable man or woman, and the institution will progress with the talented leadership to the left and right of you. From cell phone towers, billboards, Measure X and Y, housing element updates, and equity ordinance, I'm grateful to have been a part of some incredible decisions and recommendations made with this team. So to the staff, I say thank you for your diligence in serving Costa Mesa with your education and knowledge and best practices to create an equitable community. As a planner, it has been an honor to learn from the talented pool that we employ here in the city. To council, thank you for recommending my application to serve the community and trusting and thoroughly engaging with the recommendations of the commission, no matter how long it took to get them sometimes. To the commission, thank you for allowing me to serve as your vice chair and colleague and having the difficult conversations, asking the tough questions, all for a better community. Your efforts are not in vain. To the community, thank you from the bottom of my heart for trusting me as a commissioner in this great city. I relocated to Costa Mesa from Washington, D.C. with the sole intent to immerse myself within my new home. I didn't foresee myself leading to this capacity, but this community embraced me with open arms and never failed to offer me a history lesson on most of the public hearing items. It made me love the city all the more. The general plan is one of the most sacred documents and the first voice that we as planners seek to for guidance for our recommendations. So I ask that the public continue to show up to the meetings, continue sending those emails, continue making phone calls. It makes a difference in how we shape our city. There's so much work in a pipeline for the city, and I'm excited that we have incredible leadership at all levels to make that happen inclusively and equitably. So again, thank you for the opportunity to serve. I'll be around.
Thank you, Kadarius, very much. Commissioner Toller, do you have any comments?
Sure, thank you. Kadarius, it was nice serving alongside you, even though it was on the Zoom screen for the last 6 months. I found you to be a heck of a nice guy. One time in one of my first meetings, I was kind of confused about an item. I thought, man, who am I going to call to ask these dumb questions? Kadarius, he's a nice guy. And he was super helpful, and that was the first time I talked to him. And I'm going to miss the perspective you bring to this dais. You caught stuff that were blind spots for me, and I thought you made this, you made a good contribution up here. So I wish you the best for wherever you're going next.
Thank you. Commissioner Russell.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss your perspective. I'm gonna miss your commitment to social justice, equity, and education of the community. Your presence on the commission has been a first-person account of the events of the last year in the city and in the country. Your willingness to share your thoughts and your feelings with us has been invaluable. You refuse to go along with the easy answers, and your thoughtfulness and thoroughness in exploring the issues that have come before the commission has been really inspiring. I'm gonna miss not having you next to me to explain which buttons to push to get to the documents, and I just wish you all the best. I hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Zick.
Kadarius, you know quite well that I'm a big supporter of yours. Pushed hard to have you be the vice chair. And that was maybe one of the prouder decisions that I've been involved in up here. I'm going to miss you professionally and personally. I think I talked to you, well, I know I talked to you more offline than online. And what I particularly appreciated about you is you did your homework. You did a lot of hard analysis. You did a lot of questioning, which helped bring to the public discussion facts and information about applications that might not have been discussed. So I'll miss that of you. Good luck with whatever you're doing. You were really one of my favorites up here.
Thank you, Commissioner Zick. Commissioner Torje?
Thank you. Commissioner Colbert, I have so appreciated serving alongside you and will definitely miss you and miss your perspective as well. You know, I've heard a few folks mention your attention to the detail and doing the homework, and it's such a strong sign of a great planning commissioner that you looked beyond what was obvious and really thought through what was needed as to see as part of the items brought before us. And sometimes the details matter overall, and not just the big picture. And I appreciated your balance of both. You also allowed us to go into conversations and into places that would be difficult to go without you. And I hope we've learned enough in our conversation to continue to move forward and have those big conversations of racial equity, of equity in our communities, of looking at some of the systems that we have in place and really considering what our next steps should be and how we can address those fully. In your comments, you mentioned that you leaving the commission is not giving up on those, but expanding those further. And I am so excited to see what you do and where you go. You have been a blessing to our city and to the county. Thank you for your service with us. I appreciate your time with us.
Thank you, Commissioner Torje. Commissioner Areth.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're good.
Great. Vice Chair Colbert, our overlap on this committee was brief, but even before I came to this commission, your participation on the Planning Commission was always detail-oriented. You always gave the most thoughtful assessments, I thought. And for the short time that we were on this commission together, it's been a real privilege and an honor to serve with you. I wish you the absolute best on whatever life brings to you next. And I hope we can stay in touch in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, Kadarius, when I spoke to you on the phone, I mentioned to you what impressed me the most about you, but I want to share that with my fellow commissioners in the community. You know, the work you do as a commissioner and the skills and the dedication to the job that you put into it were self-evident, and that's what every city hopes they get in a commissioner or a city council member, somebody who's dedicated to the community, does the work, asks smart questions, and keeps an open mind about issues. But what I admired about you most when you first came on the scene and what I admire about you today are more items that drive the things that you did on the commission, which is your courage and your leadership. You know, I think about you, you're a young man, you came out from DC to Costa Mesa, which is a long way and it's a different culture out here. But you even left your home state of Texas. And you've been places and you've done things in such a quick span of your life that, to me, that takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of courage to leave your home, to leave your family, to go to places as complex as DC, to then come out to California where we're not DC. But not just to settle in and find your way, but to actually say, you know, I'm going to get involved. I don't know this community well. I don't know a lot of people, but I'm going to step up and get involved and try to achieve big things. And that demonstrated to me a level of courage and leadership that is from my perspective, increasingly rare in your generation. So I want to commend you for that because it impressed me to no end. Not only did you take those, take that step of courage and step into a role of leadership, but then you tackled issues that this planning commission has never, ever tackled. And a part of it's sign of the times and what we're going through. But at the end of the day, to step up and offer a perspective about how we craft our ordinances, how we implement land use policy and planning policy in the city that takes into account social equity, justice, is not something that this commission has done in my 25 years of being involved or watching the city government. So you really were kind of the trailblazer in that regard. And I hope that is a great source of pride to you. It is certainly part of your legacy in this city. And wherever you go and whatever career path you choose, the career path you're on now, what other causes or issues you decide to take a leadership role in, I have no doubt that you're going to make a mark that's going to last. So I thank you very much for your service. You're my friend. I hope you will always remember that my phone's open, my door's open. You need to talk, let's talk. But I learned a lot from you, and I'm an old guy, so you can't teach old guys new tricks. But thank you very much for your service. I'm very proud of you, very proud of you. Okay. You're the lucky one. You get to go home now. Oh, yeah, let's get a picture real quick before you leave, Kadarius. Let's have everybody come down. Okay. So next order of business, we have a vacant officer seat on the Planning Commission. I'm declaring that the position of vice chair is vacant. And this brings us to an election of a vice chair. And I'm opening nominations to the commissioners for any nominations for vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, before we do that, though, can we take public comments on it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I will open public comment on this particular item. If there's any members of the public in the chambers or on Zoom or on telephone, if you're on Zoom, please hit the raise hand function. If you're on the telephone, I believe it's star. I know, see, I don't remember either after all this. Star 9 and then star 6. Do we have anybody wishing to speak to this item?
There's nobody in Zoom raised their hands, so we're good there.
Okay. Anybody on the telephone?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So I'll bring it back up to the dais and open the floor for nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations? And we have Commissioner, somebody raising their hand or no? Commissioner Russell?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Torje.
Okay, is there a second?
I will second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to appoint Commissioner Torje as Vice Chair of the Costa Mesa Planning Commission. That motion was by Commissioner Russell, seconded by Commissioner Arith. Are there any comments on the motion? Okay, so Julie, please call the roll.
Chair Jericho,
Aye.
sorry, 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to do it the other way.
No, that's fine. Take your time.
Commissioner Arith,
Aye.
Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Commissioner Toller,
Aye.
Commissioner Torje,
I'll abstain.
Commissioner Zick.
No.
So motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Zick voting no and Commissioner Torje abstaining.
Excellent. Congratulations, Vice Chair Torje. Would you like to make any comments?
Thank you. It'll be a hard act to follow. The last couple vice chairs were just incredible, and I appreciate the nomination. My pleasure to serve the city.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That brings us to public comments in our agenda. Public comment is reserved for members of the public to speak to the Planning Commission on matters within our jurisdiction, but not on tonight's agenda. You have 3 minutes, or as otherwise directed by the Commission. Are there any members in the audience who wish to speak during public comment tonight? This is matters not on tonight's agenda. Okay, seeing no one, Julie, are there any members of the public on Zoom or by telephone who wish to make a public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. David Martinez, you may provide your public comment.
Mr. Martinez, go ahead.
Hello. Basically, what I want to ask is just reforming our zoning code. I don't understand a lot of what's in here, and not because it's high vocabulary or anything like that. I just don't understand why we have these requirements. I'm going to give a few examples. In an R1 zoned area, you can't build a duplex. You just can't do it for some reason. But what you can do is you can build a golf course. Why? I can only imagine. I don't understand that at all, and I think we should be doing something about that so that we can allow duplexes, triplexes, stuff that will help us with our RENA requirements. I don't think that it would ruin neighborhood integrity, but I really think that we should be changing that. Another thing that I just don't understand are minimum setbacks. For example, I think kind of universal front-facing setback is 20 feet. So instead of just being able to walk along the sidewalk window shopping, I now have to travel 20 feet inwards in order to get to a store. Except a lot of businesses have decided instead of just that 20 feet of grass or nothing in it, they're going to put a parking lot in the front, and then the business is going to be all the way in the back. So now instead of just having to cross 20 feet, I have to cross 100, 200 feet of parking lot with moving cars. That is not fun for someone who is walking. for someone who is biking. And if we want to become a better city, then we have to get rid of that. Another thing is the side setbacks, which increases the distance between the buildings. This is also something that just ruins walkability. Newport Boulevard doesn't have site setbacks for a part of it, and it's a great area. It's good to walk around, other than, you know, all the cars that come in from the 55, but that's a different problem. Another thing that is just very bad is our minimum parking requirements. This is just an utter disaster. Why are we forcing developers to have a minimum amount of parking? They're going to build the parking anyways. We saw that with One Metro West. We have a minimum parking requirement. They exceeded it. Don't worry about it. Just get rid of minimum parking requirements. For a quite obvious example, what about a bar? Are we saying that you have to build parking at a bar? Because, you know, after someone drinks alcohol, we want to encourage them to drive afterwards. That's definitely what we should be doing. What I think we should do is not use the Euclidean zoning system that we're using right now. We have to reform our system to something like a form-based code. That way we become a much better city that people will actually want to live in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martinez. Your 3 minutes is up. Appreciate your comments. Julie, or any other speakers?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I will close the public comment. And that brings us to Planning Commissioner comments, and we'll begin this evening with Commissioner Zick.
My only comment tonight is to thank staff for the hard work and in particular the creative work over the last year to keep the city running and to support our meetings. I only have a glimpse of the work and the creativity that you brought to bear. You know what you've done, your supervisors and managers know what you've done, and hopefully you're being recognized for that. From my perspective, it's been seamless, except for all the Zoom meetings. So I just want to say thank you for that and welcome back.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Russell.
First of all, I want to echo Commissioner Zeke's comments about the staff and the way that we've gotten through the meetings in the last year. You guys have just done an amazing job of keeping the city going and keeping the meetings on track. And that includes information to the community that what's going on in the city has continued to be put out, so that through the Costa Mesa Minute, we've been updated through the process of the housing element, rather than use the excuse of COVID for not getting things done. The staff has figured out how to make things work, and I think we've all appreciated that. So thank you. And then secondly, just a reminder that Saturday, July 17th at 10 a.m., at long last, there's going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony for the new community center and Lions Park. I walked around down there. The airplane looks so cool. There's new swings, and it just looks fantastic. So 10 a.m., be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Toller.
No, I did not prepare any comments tonight, but I will also thank staff for all the work we've done over the last year and a half. And special shout out to IT department who set up all this hybrid stuff that we're getting used to right now. Thank you.
Vice Chair Torje.
Thank you. I'll echo everyone's comments about staff, the amount of work that you all have put into this over the last year. When we've been at home, you've been here with your masks on and making sure that everything is going smoothly. So for the IT team, for the planning team, I appreciate you all, and thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. I'd also just, I was got a text from my mom before I got here, and she tested positive for COVID, and she's been vaccinated. And I just was thinking about, as we're opening up and going back into the world, how much I appreciate seeing everyone in person, and also like balancing the need to be safe still. And so I know that these plastic barriers around us are annoying, and the masks are annoying, and but I also just appreciate the caution that we're going back into the world in, and also the excitement of being out in my city and seeing more people. And so, like Commissioner Russell mentioned, the ceremony for the Norma Herzog and Lions Park, the ribbon cutting this Saturday, I can't wait to see my neighbors, and I can't wait to see you all there. So I'd say let's continue to enjoy our parks. Let's continue to support our businesses, being cautious, and then also knowing that we get to be together now. So I love being here with all of you, and I'm just so glad to be back out in my city. Those are my comments for today.
Excellent. Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Arith.
Thank you. I'd like to echo my fellow commissioners in saying that the IT department and the planning department have been absolutely wonderful to work with. I'm sure some of you know what I do for a day job. I've made it a career out of working with government and assessing basically agendas all day long and providing guidance. And I can tell you that the city of Costa Mesa is second to none. What you prepare for us during our meetings is really quite impressive. It's extremely thorough and informative, and I don't know how we could do it without you. So thank you very much. And like my fellow commissioners, also looking forward to the opening of the Herzog Center and Lions Park. So thank you very much. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. It is good to be back, although I'm missing not wearing shorts in my rainbows, but that's okay. Listen, it is good to be back. It's good to see all of you. I just want to echo what everyone said about staff. I think I've known Dane Bora for 20 some odd years. So his communications team is top notch, just top shelf. There's nobody better in Orange County. I'm convinced of it. And then the IT support obviously is very important. And then to you guys in the planning department and Brenda, it's been a tough 18, 19 months, I know, to try to help people with their plan checks, and when their counter's not open and they got to drop their plans in a huge trash can out front. And then it's like, it's just, you guys have really done extraordinary work to try to keep everybody, try to get their plan checks done. And it hasn't always been smooth, but that's not a slam. That's just the way it was. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it's the best we could do, and you guys pulled it off, I think, with grace and a lot of professionalism. So Jennifer, to you and your staff, thank you very much. Julie, my best friend, you did great. Signing proclamations out on the front steps and resolutions, and it was all good, but I'm looking forward to just kind of seeing you without a mask on. Brenda, thank you very much. I know it's, running all this stuff is really difficult. And then it's good to see everybody, all my fellow commissioners. So off we go. I'm done with my comments. That brings us to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the Planning Commission staff or the public request specific items to be discussed and are removed from the consent calendar for discussion. Public comments on consent calendar items are limited to 3 minutes or as otherwise directed. Julie, is there anybody from the public or on Zoom that wishes to pull any of the consent calendar items, or any member of the public in the chambers? Don't see any.
Nobody through Zoom, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, commissioners, is there a motion on the consent calendar or a request to pull any of the items, and we'll vote on the balance of the consent calendar? Please kind of give me a look down here and give me a high sign if there are. Commissioner Toller.
I would like to pull item number 3.
Okay,
Broadway. I'm sorry, I lost it.
okay. So we're pulling item number 3. So is there a motion on the balance of the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Arith moves the consent calendar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Vice Chair Tourget seconds. Julie, any comment on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none. Julie, roll call vote, please, on the balance of the consent calendar.
Chair Jericho,
Aye.
Vice Chair Torje,
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Commissioner Toller,
Aye.
Commissioner Zick.
Aye.
That motion carries 6-0.
Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, we will take up consent calendar item number 3. Julie, could you please read that into the record, and then we'll turn it over to Ms. Walsh for a report.
Yes. Consent calendar item number 3, general plan conformity report and resolution thereof for the proposed vacation of excess right-of-way located at 154 Broadway on the Fullerton Avenue frontage.
Okay, Ms. Walsh, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Can everybody see my PowerPoint presentation? Great. Okay, so this is just a brief presentation this evening. The item before you is a general plan conformity report for the proposed vacation of excess right-of-way located at 154 Broadway. The project site is on the southeast corner of the intersection at Fullerton Avenue and Broadway. The property was originally developed in 1955 and is a non-conforming development occupied by a commercial building on a single lot. However, the property is zoned R2HD, multiple family residential high density, which allows residential development. The maximum density in this zone is 1 dwelling unit per 3,000 square feet of lot area. Therefore, the current lot size of 5,663 square feet can only accommodate a maximum of 1 unit. The property owner is requesting that the city vacate the excess right-of-way in front of the property on Fullerton Avenue to increase the lot size in order to allow the construction of a commercial sign and modified private property landscaping along the street frontage, and to accommodate 2 dwelling units should the property be developed for housing in the future. If vacated by the city, the right-of-way would revert back to the property owner of 154 Broadway. As shown on this slide, the request is to vacate 8.7 feet of excess right-of-way along Fullerton Avenue. If the request is approved, the remaining 10-foot parkway fronting 154 Broadway could be modified to include a future sidewalk no less than 4 feet wide and a parkway. The city's Bikeway and Walkability Committee reviewed the vacation request on June 2nd and recommended approval of the 8.7-foot vacation by a vote of 11-0. The existing right-of-way on Fullerton Avenue abutting this property is 60 feet wide. This includes 36 feet for 2 lanes of vehicle traffic, an 18.7-foot parkway fronting 154 Broadway, and a 5.3-foot sidewalk and parkway on the other side of the street. This portion of Fullerton Avenue is not designated as an arterial street as shown on the city's master plan of streets and highways, and therefore its existing condition represents the ultimate street width. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution provided as Attachment 1 that adopts this report for purposes of reporting on general plan conformance and find that the proposed vacation of excess right-of-way of the Fullerton Avenue frontage of 154 Broadway is in conformance with the City of Costa Mesa general plan, serves the public interest, and is a public benefit, and is not subject to the California Environmental Quality Act under CEQA guidelines section 15061B3. In addition, following the Planning Commission's report, the Engineering Division would forward the proposal to the City Council for a decision. That concludes my presentation, and I'll be available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh, very much. Commissioner Toller, I'll start with you. Seeing you pulled it, I'm assuming you have some questions.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. First question is just about that sidewalk. In the presentation and the staff report, you stated that if the request to vacate 8.7 feet of excess right-of-way is approved, the remaining 10-foot parkway could be modified to include a future sidewalk and parkway. Is that a plan for the city to do, or is that something that could theoretically happen if the property owner did it?
Commissioner Toller, I can take that question. In response to your question, that's something that the city can plan on doing in the future, in a future CIP project. We have CIP projects that include called our Missing Sidewalk Program, and that's something that we can assess in terms of the validity, in terms of the necessity of a sidewalk. But as you can see in the area in one of the presentation slides, you can see there is a sidewalk on the other side of Fullerton Avenue, which residents and community stakeholders can utilize. But as far as the site in question, that's something that our department in relation to community responses that we can consider in a future project for a sidewalk installation.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. And just as a comment, that if there's no sidewalk, that means people are going to be walking in the street. And I know sidewalks are expensive and complicated, but I would hope that we would compensate somehow by making that street in front a safe and comfortable space for people to walk. And I hope that maybe we could do something else to slow the traffic or make driving recklessly more difficult, something like that. But that was my question. Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Russell Zick or Vice Chair, do you have questions? Okay.
Question.
Commissioner Arith, do you have any questions?
No, sir, I don't at this time. Thank you.
Vice Chair Tourget.
I forgot I was vice chair. Thank you. So I do have a couple questions for staff. The zoning for this is high density residential, and the staff report talks about it being if the area is vacated, we have 2 dwelling units possible for development. For that zoning designation, what would be the ADU requirements or potential for developing an ADU and a JADU?
Ms. Lee or Ms. Walsh?
So currently, the property, as mentioned, is a non-conforming commercial development, so it would not be eligible for an accessory dwelling unit. Jennifer Lee can step in if I misstated that. But as far as future residential development, it would depend if it was developed as a single-family residential unit or multifamily dwelling units. That would dictate what ADU configuration would be allowed on that lot.
Okay, so a follow-up clarifying question. So the use is commercial, but it's zoned for residential. So if the owner were to vacate the commercial use, would they need to submit a new, would they need to submit to make it residential, or is it already zoned? Like, what would be that process to turn that to be residential?
So they would have to submit a demolition permit for the commercial building, and then for the residential proposal, typically we wouldn't get a standalone accessory dwelling unit. So at that time, they would propose, they would submit building plans for a residential use, whether that would be 2 units or 1 unit following this decision this evening. That would dictate whether how many accessory dwelling units would be eligible for that property.
And just to clarify, the current zoning for the property is residential at R2HT. So at which time in the future that the zoning was residential as well as the existing use on site were residential, then at that point it becomes eligible for accessory dwelling units.
Okay, so in the future, there's a possibility for 2 units plus accessory dwelling units if the current building, if the owner vacated the current use and demolished the building.
That's correct.
Okay, great. That's helpful to know the next steps of that, especially because the use and the zoning are inconsistent. Okay, those are my questions.
Great, thank you. I'll go ahead and open public comment on this item. If there's anybody in the chambers who wishes to speak to this item, please come forward. I don't see anybody. Brenda or Julia, are there any members of the Zoom or on telephone who want to speak to this item?
Oh, yes, there is, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
David Martinez, you may provide your public comment.
Mr. Martinez, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. This is the one thing I did not mention before, which was minimum lot area. An R2HD lot has a minimum lot area of 12,000 square feet. And I don't think this lot reaches 12,000 square feet, which, you know, is confusing to me. And it just raises my question of why have a minimum lot requirement in the first place. It means that people might be buying up land that they won't use and might not be able to afford the land that is there. And I think we need to get rid of all of the minimums that I mentioned before in public comment and this one as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Daniel Morgan, you may provide your public comment.
Okay. Daniel Morgan, you may start.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm one of the owners of the property. I want to thank you for your consideration and appreciate all of your time and efforts that you guys put forward for the city. You guys do a great service to us all. So I just want to extend my gratitude for your time tonight. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other comments? Okay, I will close public comment and ask the commissioners if any additional questions. I don't believe there are. Okay, I'm going to move approval of consent calendar item number 3. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by, motion to approve by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Arith. Julie, roll call vote, please.
Chair Jericho,
Aye.
Vice Chair Torje,
Aye.
Commissioner Arith,
Aye.
Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Commissioner Toller,
Aye.
Commissioner Zick.
Aye.
That motion carries 6-0.
Okay, thank you very much. And Ms. Lee, that item does go to the city council, correct?
Turn my mic on there. Yes, that's correct. The commission's action this evening is a report to council. Council will make the decision on the vacation itself.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we have no public hearings tonight, old or new business, so that brings us to departmental reports. Public services report, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, honorable members of the Planning Commission and honorable chairman, good evening. My name is Sung Yang, city engineer for the city of Costa Mesa. So, as far as our public services department report, we'd just like to mention that number one, construction is going on for Fairview Road project. And if you've gone down to Fairview Road, we're working as hard as we can in improving that street in terms of new median islands, new traffic signal at Fairview Road and Village Way, in addition to new striping and pavement rehabilitation. So that's one of the projects going on, along with Merrimack Way, which is near completion in terms of improvement, which would include a new Class 1 bike path, as well as a new hawk signal for crosswalks, so to improve safety pedestrians crossing the street to OCC, or Orange Coast College. So we'll have planned a grand opening in the near future for Merrimack Way, and that will be a new asset to our community. Sounding like a broken record, I'm also going to mention again about the ribbon cutting ceremony for this Saturday, July 17th, 2021. It's for both the events, which is the Norma Herzog Community Center, as well as the Lions Park Playground. So that's going to start at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. on Saturday, July 17th, and no RSVP is necessary. So if you'd like to join, just come on down and join for the ribbon cutting, and also to see the brand new park. In addition, the street in front of the park, which is West 18th Street, is newly paved just in time for this event. So we hope we can have a lot of people to come join us and enjoy your new park and your new Norma Herzog Community Center. So that's it for Public Services report, and I give it back to the chair.
Thank you, sir. I drove down Merrimack yesterday. That improvement work looks really, really good, and I'm anticipating the Fairview work being completed too. Looks like it's going to be great. Development Services report, Ms. Lee.
Thank you, Chair. First, I just want to welcome commissioners and the public back to the council chambers this evening. It's very nice to be back for this Planning Commission meeting, and I also want to welcome the public back to City Hall. For those who do not know, after several months being closed to the public due to the COVID-19 pandemic, City Hall has reopened to the public as of today. Staff is really excited to be serving the public again at our public counters, as well as via phone and email on our website. So in addition to reopening, we have also launched a new appointment system to provide better service to our public and improved customer service. So I just encourage folks who want to come visit us at City Hall to log on to the city's website at www.costamesaca.gov and make an appointment for expedited service. Of course, walk-ins are served as well. So we're just happy to be back, and welcome back to the chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. It's good to see you actually face to face. I think on the Zoom calls.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Ms. Russell.
Ms. Lee, could we have an update on the progress of the housing element?
Yes, sure. I'll provide a brief update. So last time that we spoke with council as well as the commission was at our study session, where we went through sort of the details of our planning efforts for the housing element, and that was following a very extensive number of public meetings and town hall meetings. So we have been, over the last few months since that study session, putting together the public review draft document. We do expect to release that in the month of July, though the exact release date we haven't settled on yet. So our intent is to release that to the public, get our public comments and feedback, and then ultimately start reaching out to HCD. So that's sort of a brief timeline, and I can give some more specifics at our next meeting as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. City Attorney report, Mr. Preziosi. Also good to see you again, sir.
Thank you. Good to see you as well, and the whole commission. No report tonight, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So just a reminder that next week the Orange County Fair starts. So we didn't have it last year. It's going to be a bit scaled down, and I think they're controlling the numbers of people that can go in ultimately, but go enjoy it. I'm going to be there to partake of the mac and cheese egg rolls, which I understand are going to be there. So I'm going to have those. Anyway, we'll stand in adjournment to our regularly scheduled meeting of July 26th. Good night.